everybody. Welcome to the Hope and Healing with Terri podcast. I am your host, Terri Donahue, and today we are on episode 5. Can't believe I've already made it to 5 episodes, but here we are. So, episode 5 is Sextortion, what every parent needs to know. So, we kind of talk about some serious topics on here, and these are designed to educate people who work with kids, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, youth leaders, whoever's working with children. This is designed to kind of help you understand some things. Okay, so I want to again thank you for listening. If you guys like the podcast, don't forget to follow it, share it with others, things like that, all the things. I'm also kind of toying with the name of the podcast because Hope and Healing with Terri, I really like that name, but I feel like right now we're doing a lot more education, but I think it's bringing hope and I still think it's bringing healing, and those are very important to me. So that is kind of the goal, right? So let me kind of tell you about how the topic of sextortion came up because I know that's probably a term that some of you have heard. And then again, it's probably a term that some of you have never heard. And hopefully, it's something that you never have to experience with anybody that you know. So, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I don't really remember, but my son's school did a internet safety talk for parents. And I'm pretty big on internet safety and I try to stay in the know, but I thought, well, let's go. Doesn't hurt to go. Maybe we'll learn something new. And we did. So we learned some new stuff that kind of changed some rules in our house, and I'll kind of go over that with you. But it also taught me about something I had never heard of. In fact, they didn't even say the term sextortion at this event, but it's something I've learned more recently. So I'm going to kind of work with you guys on it. I feel like God puts topics in my mouth or in my mind, not my mouth, when it's time for me to research it and share that knowledge with other people. So that's where these topics come from. I know they're so unexpected, right? But even being aware of online safety and risks, I did learn something. So I was really happy that we went. And again, it was a company, an organization called Alert, ALRT, exclamation point, I believe, that came and talked to us. And even though they didn't use the term sextortion, that is what they were talking about. So rules that we came up with after being there is my son, he has a cell phone. I know a lot of people's kids have cell phones and probably younger than we wanted them to have it. But when they're not with us, we want to be able to get a hold of them. And I like to be able to see where my son is when he's not with me. And we actually gave him a cell phone when he started going to school because he had been homeschooled for quite a while. And so when he went to school, I wanted to be able to get a hold of him. Now, funny thing is, he goes to a private school, and the school he's at now doesn't even allow him to have it. Like, he can't even take it. But I feel okay with that because I have direct access to his teacher. There's something that went around recently. How would you feel if your kid's school did not allow cell phones, especially in the culture that we live in? And I commented, if my son went to a public school, I would feel differently than I do, but I don't really have a say in what happens in public schools because my kid doesn't go there. Okay. But in his school last year, and even at the beginning of this school year, they could take their phone and they would just be locked up during the day and they would check them back out when parents came. So that's kind of how phones work at our schools. But anyway, every school's different, every teacher's different. I do not feel like kids should be on their phone all the time, especially in class. They should be learning. So I do like that they kind of took them away. But when asked if the kids are not on the phone and they're in the backpack, because I agree, if there's ever a safety concern, parents want to be able to get a hold of their kids. But anyway, I digress and go into a whole different conversation because we are here to talk about sextortion. So there are two different types of sextortion, okay? So there is, and what a sextortion is, it's a form of exploitation, okay? So it's something that's happening online. It's probably something that a lot of people have never heard about, and I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about it. And if you want to know more, I'm sure we can come up with more too, but there are two different types. There's traditional sextortion. So with traditional, they get kids to send them a picture. And this picture can start super small, like send me a picture of your face, okay? Or send me a picture of you. like frontal, but not naked. And then it progresses to where they're showing more skin and they are sitting, because what the person doing this sextortion is, they are manipulating this child and they are telling them how wonderful they are and how beautiful they are. And these kids are wonderful and beautiful, but sometimes they don't hear it from other people, or sometimes they hear it from their mom or dad and think, well, whatever, my parents said that. But these people know how to manipulate these kids and get them to do these things because it just starts out as a friendship. A lot of times they think it's someone that goes to school with them or someone that knows their friends. They don't know that it could be a 30 or 40-year-old guy sitting in the basement somewhere. They have no idea who they're sending these pictures to, because who people represent themselves to be online can be completely different than who they actually are. Okay, so that is traditional. And then there's financial sextortion. Oh, and traditional, I'm sorry. They keep asking them to send more and more and more pictures. So they want more and more information. Okay. So financial is where they're threatening them if they don't send more pictures or they don't send money. Sorry, financial's money. They're going to exploit them. Okay. So what happens in these instances, if the child in question does not send the pictures or the money, whatever the sextortionist wants, they threaten to give all this information, these pictures, to their family, so to their parents, to their friends, to all of their followers, to all the people. Okay. So they have these kids scared. Like they are scared. They don't know what's going to happen. They're going to be embarrassed and they are going to be scared. That's why it's so important to talk to our kids so that they know no matter what happens, we are there. We love them and we are going to take care of them. Okay. So whoever you are in this child's life, make sure that they know you're available. You will talk to them. You will help them. Okay. So 79 of predators seek money. Okay. So most predators who are doing sextortion are actually seeking money, not more images. But you'll see that there's different types that do this. So how it begins. So oftentimes the predator, whoever it is, will set up an online profile. It can be Facebook, it can be Instagram, it can be Snapchat, it can be whatever the new app is right now. It can be a game. Okay, so there's a lot of things going around about Minecraft and about Roblox and about all the other things. And people think, oh my gosh, our kids should be playing these games. Well, I don't agree with that, because you should be aware of who your kids are talking to. I talk to my son all the time about this because he likes to play Roblox. I don't want him talking to strangers. You can actually set their settings to where they cannot talk to strangers. I mean, they can in the game, but not in the DMs. And DMs are where things are happening. And what happens is when these predators, because we also talked about this on the last episode when we talked about human trafficking, same thing. These predators are sending these DMs and they can be sending hundreds of them. And they're only talking to the kids who are responding, and they make them think, hey, I'm your best friend. We are fabulous. Like, I know you, and we maybe go to school together. Or there's other ways. Some of them, it's more like, hey, would you like a modeling contract or something like that? Anything that gets the kids' attention that would like them. Because what happens is when they start talking to these people online, they share information. They share their name, they share about their family. So anything that these people can use later, okay? This all can happen. Okay, so that's kind of how it starts. It starts with photos, okay? Then they build trust with this person, with the victim. We're going to call them the victim, but really it's the child. So they're going to build trust with the child. They know what they are doing. They are manipulative. They know what they're doing. They're going to build trust. They're going to get this child to open up to them. If this kid had a bad day, or if you just got in a fight with your child and they're upset and they're sharing it with this person, they're going to use that later in efforts to get pictures, whatever it is that they are wanting, okay? They also have the ability to hack your device. So whatever device your child's on, whether it's a computer, a phone, a tablet, whatever. So we also need to make sure our kids know not to click on anything that is sent to us. And a lot of times these predators will try to get your kid off of one app, so we'll say Roblox, and put them on a different app that is less trackable, okay? Because, you can go read their DMs anywhere, but a lot of parents aren't taking their kids' phones and reading all of that. You guys, my opinion is I own that phone. I paid for it. I paid for the subscription for it for you to have service. That's my phone. And so I can look at anything on it. And my son understands that that is to protect him. Okay, children do not have their full frontal lobe developed yet, and you don't until you're in your early 20s. So they don't always make the best decisions, which is also why sextortionists can get to them. Okay, so they can track everything that they do. They can send malicious links to get into their profiles and different things like that. They can take over profiles. I mean, I'm sure you've seen people where somebody else took over their profile. That happens, that's real. Um, but they like to move them to a platform with an encrypted chat so that they have more freedom there. Okay. So here are some real cases of sextortion because I know you're thinking, does this really happen? Yes, you guys, it really happens. I wouldn't be making this up, right? But there was, let's see. I have notes because y'all, I will not be on track if I don't. But so there's some teen girls, I believe it was in New Hampshire because I only have bullet points. But it was in New Hampshire where there was a guy who was sextorting these girls. And he was getting pictures. Now, he was doing traditional sextortion because he wasn't seeking money. He wanted more and more pictures. Now, and it was several girls. I think it was like at least 8 girls in this high school that this happened to. And one of them was actually friends with the guy who did it. And it was somebody who went to school with them. But one of the girls moved to another state and it was still happening. And this sextortionist started sending the girls pictures to the other girls. And one of the girls in the other state actually recognized one of the girls. She was like, oh my gosh, I went to school with her last year. So she she reached out to police. Okay. She talked to her parents. I believe it's her grandparents. I don't recall. But she talked to her family and they went to the police. So here's the thing. A lot of times kids will not talk to somebody. Okay. And we really want to be open with them and talk to them so that when something does happen, that they feel comfortable coming and talking to us. One of the girls who was interviewed said, when she went to her mom made her feel validated because, oh, I don't know why I'm going to cry, but her mom made her feel validated because she was like, this is not your fault. This is a predator who has done this to you, and we are going to the police. Okay. So she encouraged her to talk to the police. She built her up, like, made sure she knew that she didn't do anything wrong because they're going to make these girls feel like they did something wrong. Okay. And sadly, it takes a long time for one of these cases to be find out who the person is, and then for charges or something to happen. Okay. Another case was, you guys, this one's shocking. I think it's shocking. It's sad. A Navy pilot, a Top Gun Navy pilot was also a sextortionist. And these guys, they think they're smart. They think they can get away with this. They think, hey, nobody knows it's me. I can do this, right? And they're getting away and they're having multiple victims. I don't even know how many the Navy pilot had. But he's in prison now where he belongs, right? So another one, I had seen a reel come across. I was scrolling on my phone, you know how we all do, and I saw something come across, and it was a sextortion. It was a mom talking about what happened to her son. So the other ones I've talked about were all girls, but this is a mom who was talking about her son. And he had met a girl. It wasn't really a girl, y'all. It was two brothers from Nigeria, but he had met a girl on a game online late at night. And the girl convinced him to send a picture of himself. And he did. Well, that's where things went crazy. In a matter of no time, he was told, send us $3,000 or we're sending this to your parents, we're sending this to your friends, your followers, anyone that they can send it to, right? And they already had access to all that information just from talking to you. And so this boy was like, oh, they wanted $1,000. He was like, I only have $300. And they're like, well, you better come up with more or we're going to do this. That child killed himself because of sextortion, because they tormented him so much that he couldn't take it anymore. But he didn't go to his parents, he didn't go to anybody, he just took his own life. So, in the last minutes of his life, he was terrified and miserable. So, The mom who was sharing the story is obviously sharing it so other people, sorry, are aware of what happened so that they're not in that same situation. So you can talk to your kids and your kids can come talk to you. And she wishes her son had obviously come and talked to her, right? So they found the guys who did this. They were two brothers from Nigeria, and they brought them to the United States and tried them, and they got prison time. And in this video, she said, a lot of people are thinking they didn't get enough. She goes, but to me, they got justice. They got these guys from Nigeria and brought them here and they got justice. And so that was the same thing with the Navy pilot. There are people like, he didn't get enough time. Or I think the guy in New Hampshire got like 8 years. And everyone was like, that's not enough for what he did. But you guys, justice, something happened. They got something. And now he's going to be a sex offender. This was a kid that was 18, 19 years old, and now he's going to be a sex offender for the rest of his life because he was doing that, right? Which he should be. And this is a form of virtual rape, okay? So that's one of the terms I've learned in going on a deep dive down this conversation. So it's not just girls that are being affected by this, it's boys too. Okay. And I heard a statistic from oh, let's see, what was his name? I already forgot. Jonathan Haidt or Hat. Haidt. Haidt. Anyway, he is the author of The Anxious Generation. And he shared that there's a lot of social media platforms being sued by parents. And Snapchat, in their internal correspondence, shared that they get 10,000 reports of sextortion a month. 10,000. And those are only the reported ones. So there's a lot of people who are not reporting this, but they are getting 10,000 reports of sextortion a month. And they are saying that it is mostly boys that it's happening to on Snapchat. And dozens, more likely hundreds of these kids have ended their life because of the torment and the bullying and what they're going through with this. So again, it's so important to have these small conversations with our kids. We don't want to scare them. We don't want to make them think this is going to happen to them because hopefully it never does. But we want them to be aware so that if they're ever in that situation, someone's trying to DM them, no, don't listen to that. Don't talk to them. Don't have anything to do with them. Okay. So predators use fear and shame to keep their victims silent. So these girls, they did it. They sent the picture. These boys, they sent the picture. And so they don't want people to know that they did that. But another thing is our kids need to know when you send something, it can go anywhere, right? Nothing is private in sending pictures online. So, but they'll use shame and silence or shame and fear to keep them from talking because they'll make them think that their family's going to disown them. Their friends will never talk to them again. In fact, there's a girl who did a YouTube video and I watched it. It was very sad because she made this video before she took her own life. She made the video because she was sextorted and the person who did this to her shared the information because they'll do what they say they're going to do. They're going to send it to your family. They're going to send it to your friends if you don't give them what they want. And that happened to her. And then she got bullied at school. Her parents moved her to another school and they found out about it. So this girl went through horror and torment, and there were kids that were telling her to take her own life. And in the reel that I was sharing about the mom sharing her son's story, he told the guys that he thinks he's talking to a girl. He told them that he was going to kill himself, and they said, do it. They don't care about these kids at all. They just want whatever it is that they're wanting, right? So what can adults do to kind of help these kids, help your grandkids, whoever is in your life? Talk early and talk often. Make it normal to have these conversations. I was talking to my son yesterday. I don't even remember what about. And he goes, why does everything have to be a life lesson? And I kind of laughed because I tell you guys, talk about these things. But you know what? When something comes up, he's already going to know. I don't have to have some big drawn out conversation with him because we're having small age appropriate conversations as he's growing up. And I think that's important. And I think it's hard sometimes for parents. I know it's hard sometimes for me, and I work with kids and I have these conversations. So be a safe space for them, someone that they can come talk to that's not going to bring them shame or sorry, I hear thunder. We have tornadoes possible tonight. So anyway, that is not going to bring them shame or anything else. Okay. So encourage reporting. I'm going to encourage you, if you know somebody, report it, because if this person is doing it to one person, they are doing it to multiple others. It could be 10, it could be 20, it could be even more, it could be hundreds. Like, it's amazing how crazy and big this can get, right? So do reports. Spot check phones. I know nobody wants to invade privacy, but you know what? They're your kids. My opinion is that my son is a gift from God, and it is my responsibility to take care of him and do the best that I can. Now, my son knows that I will spot check his phone. It doesn't mean I'm checking his phone 24/7 or anything like that. In fact, I rarely check his phone, but I probably shouldn't say that. But he knows that I can. And I will anytime I want to. In fact, in our house, because of that alert thing that we went to, cell phones are not allowed upstairs. My son's bedroom is upstairs. It is not allowed upstairs. It is not allowed in the bathroom. I never would, which cell phones were never allowed upstairs in our house, but I never would have thought about the bathroom and how easy it is to take a compromising photo while you're in the bathroom. So I was like, so that was one of the things that I really learned at that speech. So do spot checks, set boundaries, no phones in bedrooms, no phones in the bedrooms at night. So even if you allow your kid to have their phone or whatever in the bedroom, not at night. They need to get good quality sleep. Phone should be nowhere near. In fact, I see my son's phone. My husband's always like, he has his phone. And I look and it's in his chair. And because he's in the bathroom. So my husband's like, he's in there because he has his phone. He doesn't. It's in the chair. And so, and at night, I see it there, and he charges it at the table by where I usually sit. So again, I know where his phone is. So, have safety talks with kids. You guys, it's really loud thunder. So if you can hear it, sorry. Talk to them about not accepting friend requests from strangers. If you don't know them, even if you're checking and they have the same friends as you, your friends may have just accepted them. Their parents may not have had this talk with them about accepting strangers. And so again, some of these girls, they accepted the guy because they saw how many mutual friends they had, how many of their friends were friends with him. Some of them thought the guy went to high school with them. And in the case of New Hampshire, he actually did. And so really just have those boundaries, talk to your kids and talk to them about not giving personal information away. So not giving like names, addresses, where you live, anything like that, your dogs. Okay, don't give all that information away. In fact, Roblox actually encourages kids not to use their first name or any part of their name as their screen name. I can't think of what it's called, but as their persona. Okay, so they're encouraged not to do that. Okay. So some more safety tips. Never share passwords. I think we all know that, but kids don't know that. We have to teach them that. Don't click unknown links. If there's somebody sends them a link and they don't know who the person is or what the link is, don't click on it because that can screw everything up. That can give this person access to things. Another thing is cover webcams when not in use, because if they clicked on a link and the predator has access to your screens, they can actually go in and turn those on from somewhere else. So if you have a kid with a computer in their room or a tablet that can be hacked, they can turn that camera on. Okay. And then they can get whatever compromising picture they want. In one of the cases in New Hampshire, the girl actually did not send the predator any photos. However, this person was able to hack her email. And in her email, she had sent an ex-boyfriend pictures. And the predator actually found those and used those against her. Okay. So report anything suspicious. If something is suspicious, even if you find it to be embarrassing or your child finds it to be embarrassing, report it. Okay. So you never know. You could be saving somebody's life. Okay. So encourage kids to talk to a trusted adult. Okay, so Make sure your child has a safe adult in their life that they will trust and can talk to. Sometimes it's not their parent. Sometimes it's an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a coach. Just somebody in their life that they trust, okay? Hopefully it's you. Hopefully you've had enough conversations with them that they are comfortable talking to you. But if they're comfortable talking to somebody else, accept that because and have make sure that somebody comes to you because you need to know these things. So, and hopefully whoever they're trusting is someone who knows you and knows to encourage the child to come talk to you. Okay. If they do come and talk to you about something, anything, whether it's sextortion or anything else, validate them. Do not shame them because if you shame them, chances are if anything else happens, they're not coming to you because they don't feel safe. They don't feel comfortable. So help them speak up. Okay, help build that confidence for your children. You're not alone. Reporting it helps stop abusers. So if something has happened to you or to your child, report it because that's the only way we can stop these people is by people who have experienced it reporting it. Okay. So the enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy, and they are going after our kids. So make sure that, again, you're having these conversations, you're reporting whatever needs to be reported. But awareness equals protection. So when we build awareness, that means our kids are going to know what's going on. So some topics to come up. We're going to be talking about porn, kids and porn, and we're going to be talking about social media. So if you want some more knowledge, some more help in learning some things to help your kids, be sure to check some future episodes. So I want to thank you so much for listening. Sorry, it got a little crazy here at the end. We are expecting storms and I hear them very loudly, so I am ready to go. But thank you for listening to Hope and Healing with Terri. If you feel like this episode would help somebody else, share it with them. Okay, you'll find the episode on wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And if you like the content, subscribe or become a follower. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.